Good morning, party people. Happy Saturday here. It's sun's just rising in San Diego. It's a beautiful 6 a.m. Pacific. Good morning, Jim. Good to see you. Bunch of people. D. Tovey, bunch of folks. Abused sysadmin. I did kind of like that name. And yes, Chris, this is now a step up from the 300 level. It's really funny when I submitted the session to SQLBits. I submitted a 300, 400, and 500 level session, and I assumed they would either take all three or reject all three because they were asking for stuff that went in a row. They were asking for like multiple sessions that were a natural progression of each other. And I'm like, hey, Greg, good to see you again. I'm like, okay, so here's a set of three, take all three or leave all three. I'm totally comfortable because I submitted other sessions too. And then they picked the 300 and the 500, and I'm like, oh, I should probably change the levels on these. Either that or what I'll do is I'll just record the 400 level version and just put that for free on the YouTube channel or something and rock and roll. Now, some of you probably tuned in for yes. So I didn't work yesterday. I had yesterday off as like a sanity day, and so it was really weird. Really weird. I thought it was like Saturday all yesterday. It was just absolutely wonderful. So it's like I have a long weekend. I don't think I'm doing anything Monday too. I got to go look at my calendar. It's kind of weird when you're a consultant. Like everything's technically work time if you're a freelancer. Yeah, no, Monday I'm off. Oh, it's so awesome. So I have a 4-day weekend here. Really excited. An audience from China. Oh, welcome. Good to see you. So this will be kind of funny because this is more close to what I would usually do for a rehearsal. Yesterday I specifically went in cold because I wanted to have the emotional response to the pictures of Dad. I actually love Moose Jaws, fantastic. I love that company, which was also an inspiration to me for branding purposes. Oh my God, I didn't even think about that, but I'm crazy about that stuff. Welcome, Rick. Jen McCown, wow, oh look at that. The Midnight DBAs, which is a freaking excellent example of branding. I mean, you talk about, and because I'm not just saying this because you're in here, Jen, that's actually brilliant. That's really good. Both the branding stuff for Midnight DBAs and for the Minion stuff is just absolutely brilliant. And you know what I'm going to do? That reminds me that there was a slide I'm going to change. I want to go change it. So let's go get this out and start editing this together. So I got this slide deck that I'm working through here for this morning, and there's a section. Oh, Aylin, good to see you as well. There's a section down here that I was like, I need to split out the people who give away stuff for the community, for the SQL Server community. I got a bunch of slides in here. Come on, let's go back up to here. We'll do a Control F for Ola because I know Ola's inside there. So examples of free stuff, and now I wanted to throw in. So we'll do this, scripts, and I'm going to change this to Ola. Jen, tell me if I was going to refer to y'all stuff, how do you want me to refer to it as like Minionware, or how do you want me to refer to it? I'm going to first say Midnight DBAs, Minionware, because I think you want to call it as like Minionware, but just in case. Because it's such a good example, and I'm gonna like glow on these for a minute. Atom Mechanics, SP who is active, but the Minion stuff, yeah. I'm looking back over at the chat things, how do I want to say this? I'll just say downloadable freebies, downloadable tools. Minionware, we give away Minion maintenance. Okay, perfect. All right, good. Good. So I'll come back over here and we'll come back to the camera and talk through what we're doing with this one. So in today's session, it is much more of a pure... Chris, good news, Ola's fine. I did email him, or I emailed him a couple times. I got a response back, and he's just been super busy over the last year or so. So he'd phased out of doing open source stuff for a while, and then he's okay again. He's going to be getting some work done on the new version of Ola Hollengren stuff. So it's coming there. All right, so this is going to be more of a true rehearsal in that I don't know how the timing's going to go. We've talked about how usually I average about a minute per slide. I don't actually know if I'm going to hit where Bits needs me to be. I have 62 slides inside this deck. The Bits sessions are supposed to be around 45 minutes long. I may have too much material. I may have too little material. Watching a girl train in the park. It sounds like Richie is a creep. Well, Richie actually is a creep, but he's not being creepy there as far as that goes. I am going to leave y'all's comments up on this one because I think it is more of a dry run rehearsal and I don't expect to hit time. I'm going to leave your comments up on the video. I actually need to change that now too while I'm thinking of it. So turn those both on. That's not the button I wanted to click on, but okay, whatever. Matt's Valiant Trouble incoming. So your comments will pop up. Where do your comments pop up at? Let me go look and see where they pop on the monitor too. Oh God, no, they're gonna pop up right over me. Let me go move that just so that they come down low in front of that. Okay, there we go. That's perfect, and I'll turn off the alert box. I'll also leave this one up too. Remember what yesterday's stream, those of y'all who were in here, I said I got to take that down because or as soon as I'm done. It was only for the people who watch live. The yesterday's one will be on the Thursday stream of Sequel Bits, which is paid only. Hi, Robbie. Whereas this one, the one that I'm getting ready to record, is going to be on the Saturday totally free stream. You'll also notice that in here I mention a URL that is not publicly available yet. I'm going to be talking, or I'll mention that the resources are all at brentozar.com/go/500. That will go live on Tuesday's blog post. I have a blog post coming out this Tuesday promoting this session at Sequel Bits because it's free, because anybody can go sign up. And I think that a lot of people don't realize that the Saturday stream is entirely free at Sequel Bits, and holy cow, there are some good sessions. Buck Woody, Paul Randall, Anna Huffman, I mean, just a huge number. Bob Duff, Bob Ward, just epic list of people doing all kinds of stuff. Really good, both database, Power BI, Azure sessions, a whole wide range of really good stuff. Bits did a really good job of curating that stream. Oh my goodness. Oh, zing. Shots fired. All right, so let's do this. So also, for those of you who are new around here, so I'm going to be rehearsing this presentation. That will be 1 hour. And then in the second hour, so after I get done doing the presentation, the second hour I'll be working on the First Responder Kit open source scripts. There are a few issues and pull requests that people have put in, so I'll be working on those in hour 2. That's where the T-sequel will start. But hour 1 will be professional development. All right, so this time I can be a little bit more slackadaisical as I go through and do this because I don't have to worry about hitting specific times. Let's see how this goes. Hi, Leo. Live long and prosper. That's excellent. And I also have kind of an Easter egg in here in that it's a Jaguar XKRS. I don't know that anybody in Britain is going to catch that, although, now some of you who are on will, but I'm curious. I was curious. Nobody caught it on yesterday's stream. I never have that up there, but howdy, Indonesia. Welcome to the club. All right, let's get started. So let's switch over. Let's get monitor 2 up and running. Let's throw 500 level. There is perfect. I need to reset the sizing on that because that's, oh no, I need to maximize that. That's what that is. There we go. Beautiful. That's fantastic. Hi, Mossy Moss. Oh, see, did somebody actually catch the car on desk? Oh, that's fantastic. Bonus points to whoever actually went through and did that. Okay, so I got that. Dropping my damn clicker. And I got to click in the PowerPoint window in order to get... See, I told you this was a rehearsal, and it's going to be super awkward and relaxed. Normally, with the official final Sequel Bits version that I do, I have to start talking to camera. I'm not going to talk to camera here. I'm just going to go directly in. Oh, drunk. Oh, good. Good to hear that. It is a Jaguar XKRS, which was a limited edition. I want to say only 200 of them made to the United States. This is my second dream car. The number 1 dream car is a Porsche 911 Targa, and then this is number 2. So, and Eric Darling bought me this one, and I just absolutely love it. That's actually the color I want, even French Racing Blue. It's just, I would love to have that. There's one on eBay Motors right now. Galambonga says you look big with that setup. Yeah, I'm switching around and doing this over with the PowerPoints for bits because there are things that I talk and point to directly on the slide, so it makes it just a little bit nicer. So very nice there. All right, so let's do this. In this slide session, I'm going to be talking about marketing. This isn't going to be a technical session. This is purely going to be about marketing. So if you're looking for something technical, you're best off somewhere else during this particular time span. In the 300 level session yesterday, I talked about the kinds of work that you want to do, why some kinds of work gets paid much more than others. So we refined the pains that you wanted to relieve and the relief methods that you wanted to go build. We talked about a 1-year plan in order to go build marketing material to set up for your online course, your software piece, whatever. In today's session, we're going to be talking about how you build that material with your brand, why branding is so important, and so that when people know your exact brand, they're immediately willing to hire you and only you. You're not in competition with anybody else. They just want you. There are 2 kinds of marketing materials you can do, inbound marketing and outbound marketing. I'll explain what the differences are, show you examples of outbound marketing, and show you why that's really the only approach that you should even consider when you're trying to build something on your own. Start with a quiz. I'm going to show you a logo of a brand, and I want you to think of 3 words to describe that brand. Start with this one. If I was going to ask you to describe this brand in 3 words, what might those 3 words be? How about this one? Think of 3 words that you might use to describe that brand. How about this one? Or maybe this one. Brands can be positive. They can also be negative. So when you think of a company, companies spend millions and millions of dollars trying to design the exact brand that they want. They want to come up with what they are going to mean to people. And in a perfect world, they craft it to mean something positive. They want you to think of specific things so that when you see their product in the stores, you see their apps, and so forth, then you're going to be able to go, I trust this company. I know exactly what they're going to give me. If they branch out into something different, I know the kinds of things that they're going to give to me. Brand words can describe the thing that you sell, also who you sell it to. Maybe when you saw the Ferrari logo up on the screen, not only might have you thought about certain kinds of cars or apparel, you might have also thought about the kinds of people who buy it. And same thing with Lego. You might have had images of your own childhood and so forth. Absolutely, my own brand. I work very hard, and we'll talk about that, to figure out what you think of when you see the words BrentOzar.com or when you see the logo. BW Merlin says this is the most odd SQL session. That also tells me that you didn't read the results or didn't read the abstract. Whether you're quality or not. Remember just a second ago when I showed you IKEA, one of you said, do it yourself. Exactly. This isn't Ethan Allen. This isn't Lazy Boy. This isn't Herman Miller. This isn't Design Within Reach. You know, as soon as you see IKEA, you know whether it's like top tier leather covered furniture or whether it's something that college dorm people go and get because it's beautiful design. It lasts for a decently long time, but it's cheap because you go and put it together yourself. Accessibility and friendliness. Ain't nobody going to the IKEA store who's a snob. You know, we're all real world, down to earth people. I say that too because I own stuff from IKEA. Then same thing on the Ferrari end of it. It also dictates whether it's an accessible thing. You're not going into the Ferrari dealership, and if you do, you don't expect a salesperson to take you seriously because you're wearing a hoodie from Moose Jaw that says Detroit across the front of it. Companies take this incredibly seriously. If you think about the brand Volvo, for example, they'll diagram out, here are all the words that are important to us, and then they need to communicate those brand words to you as quickly as possible. There are whole teams of companies and studies involved with how you design. This is the Mayo Health Clinic, for example. They want to make sure that if you're going to choose which hospital you want to go to because your life is at stake and you want cutting edge research, and maybe your health insurance may no longer even cover the kinds of treatment that you'd get here. You want to be able to instantly associate a brand with very specific words. Now, it's you too. You need to know what people are going to associate with when they think of you. And it's really tempting to go, well, I want to be blank. Forget what you want to be. Look, you've been trying to lose weight and floss your teeth for the last 2 decades. It ain't happening. You ain't going to church on a regular basis. You're not nearly as smart as you want to be. Maybe I'm just talking about myself. But you want to know what makes you unique and stand out from everybody else in the market. Honesty is a big part of that. Like, I have to know myself. I couldn't have branded myself in my 20s. No, I wasn't in my 20s back in the 1920s, butthole, although I'm pretty much close to that old. See, this is how I can tell that it's a rehearsal, right? Although I say some of these kinds of jokes in the real session. Kurt says my Lego habit is over 5,000 a year. So this is the kind of thing that is actually interesting in terms of technical sessions. So switch over here for a second. So like Kurt there said, I spend over 5,000 a year on Lego. I bet if you're going to want to be a technical consultant, a speaker, a presenter, a community member, whatever, if you spend over $5,000 a year on Lego, that should be part of your brand. And of course, I'm not saying that Kurt needs to go out and start branding or whatever, but it's such an excellent example of what makes you unique and likable that people who do spend $5,000 a year on Lego are immediately going to know Kurt is one of us. Also, those of us who have fond memories from our childhood are going to immediately resonate and go, wow, Kurt is the kind of person that I want to be. At the same time, there are going to be people who don't give a damn about Legos. You got to pick your battles. You got to pick who you want to be your fans. And if you could suddenly go to work tomorrow and be surrounded with other people who either do what you do or admire what you do. Exactly, Coyote McD, bingo. Build a bee tree out of Legos. That's exactly the kind of thing that we're talking about, and you'll see examples of that as we go through the slides. You can also see that this is why I don't put the questions up when I go and record the real deal for Sequel Bits, because I get so excited about y'all, and I'll even talk about that very exact thing as we go through the slide deck. So knowing yourself and what makes you unique helps you craft 3 words that describe your own brand. This is going to change over time. It's a picture of me back from around 2010 when we were starting the consulting company, and the words that I operated on at that time, the words that I chose to describe myself, and I used to have them stuck up on my monitor: technical, approachable, and likable. I wanted the material that I wrote and I wanted the tools that I produced to embody those 3 words. What I figured out over time was that if I used the word approachable, then people would talk to me. I don't like people talking to me. I'm actually an introvert. I don't really like people. That's why I enjoy so well streaming, because I don't have to see you people. Yeah, I mean, this is the kind of thing that I used to get involved in, the likable and approachable thing, like he was a goofball and, hey, sure, come talk to him at any point. And the Hulkins weren't my idea. There's a friend of mine who's a photographer that I hired to do these shots, and she's like, I have a bunch of props that are exactly you. They're the kinds of things that you would get into, because Tracy knew me really well. So over time, I changed my words. These days, I think my 3 that I focus on are pain-relieving, independent, and irreverent. Gallenbunga says, is that the consulting which gives you the gray hair? That is true. Pinal, I can't, no, I don't know that I am approachable. And those of you who say, so Pinal, you're comfortable approaching me because you've known me for that long, and I've approached you too as well. But you know that inside the stream, I can be kind of a butthole. I can be completely, not kind of, but kind of a butthole in that People can be, so Him and Chu says overlay switching creates loud noise. That's on purpose. We're doing that on purpose here, actually, which I almost launched into a little independent and irreverent thing. But these are the kinds of things that I focus on inside my training classes, inside the tools that I do. Every one of those words is really important to me because that's who I am. Now, also, I stole two of them from my favorite magazine, Car and Driver. Car and Driver has had two of those words on its cover for a few decades. And I realized the last time that I was trying to craft my own branding words, I'm like, that right there, those two, that's really important to me. People know when they come to me that I'm not a company shill who's just talking the same thing that people who are awarded by companies, like if Microsoft says, you're a great cheerleader, we're going to give you an award. There's a reason why they give you that award. It's because you don't talk back. You're not independent. You don't ever say anything that goes away from the company line. I want it to be clear to readers that you're hiring me for my independent expertise. You're not hiring me because I'm a talking puppet whose somebody's hand is up my butthole. Also, irreverence. For your own branding work, you're not going to be like me. You're going to be somebody different. So when I did a branding exercise at a FreeCon, an event that I used to put on to help people plan out their career development, went through the same kind of session, and I let people pick the, it's true, I let people pick their own 3 brand words. And as an inspiration to y'all, here are a list of some of the words that they came up with. And I put this up here because this session is going to be a video available on demand from Sequel Bits as well, that you can go back and watch the replays, plus you can download the slide deck. So you can either take a screenshot or go grab the slide deck, and then these can be helpful jumping points so you can see the kinds of words that resonate with you. The first one, I first started doing this kind of thing. I looked at brands that I liked, brands that I wanted to be like, and also speakers and entertainers and communicators that I wanted to be like. Think like Alton Brown and Adam Savage from Mythbusters. Things that I have seen. Oh, G-Surgeon says connected is twice in the list. Well, let's go fix that. Where's connected twice in the... Well, you know, why am I hitting... Why don't I just hit find and replace? Oh, no. What? Connect... What? Oh, on the PowerPoint on the Mac is a piece of junk, is just a piece of junk. All right, so I'm going to have to look at it to see. Okay, there's one connected. There's the other connected. Okay, perfect. I'm going to take that connected out of the list. Perfect. There we go. Good eye, G-Surgeon. I know, right? British was one of them. And I actually love that British was one of them when somebody said that, because when you hear the word British, as an American, you probably make some assumptions about that person. They're very polite, they're well-spoken, they're conservative in their words. They don't sling stuff around like me. They don't show up in a Detroit hoodie and so forth. Richie rings a bell, doesn't it? Yes, you were on this list as well. And I knew it as soon as I saw that. I was like, oh, yes, that is such a good... the words, so lots of people use the word connected. All right, there's another one. Let's go rip that one out. There we go. Although, I'm going to leave it up at the top because I really loved the word connected. I thought that was really cool. And now I'm to the point where it's got an odd number of words per line. Let's move it over that way. There we go. Plus, then British characters play evil characters in movies. That's also true, actually. Reliable is in there 3 times. How unreliable is that? All right, so where's reliable? Let's start from the bottom up. Realistic, reliable. I see reliable there. And then I see it twice. I'll stop there. I'll leave it. If it's in now twice, I'm going to leave it the way it is. Results-oriented is also in that twice. Results-oriented. Oh, because somebody did it twice with 2 different, like, back and forths, maybe. Here, we'll put it there. And now I'm not going to go any deeper in that one because y'all will just look all over there. The more specific that you can be, the more narrowed in your brand words can be, the more you they can be, the more you're going to stand out from the crowd. If you put in things like reliable, trustworthy, Those tend to be very generic words. Able to lift 50 pounds. If you think about it as anything that would be in a corporate job description, self-managing, those don't really help you stand out from anybody. On the other hand, the more specific that you can be, the more stand out you are. The more cheese pizza that you are, the more you're really competing with everyone. When you say things like, I am a reliable database administrator who can be counted on to make sure that things are self-oriented, the more generic and bland that you are, reliable, able to lift 50 pounds, the more that you're really saying, I compete with absolutely everyone. Because these big, huge, giant companies, they have to be very generic. You don't have to be generic. You only have to describe yourself, and that immediately helps people pick you out. If you're going to be just bland and generic, you're competing with everybody, and you're never going to win. But the more unique you are, Prada, Burberry, Ferrari, the more unique that you are, and it doesn't have to be on the high end, it can be on the low end, like IKEA, Chuck E. Cheese, for that matter, the more unique and funky that you can be that describes you. I spend $5,000 a year on Lego. The more it is that people are like, wow, no one else around here spends, holy smokes, I'm immediately attracted to that. And that's what your goal is. You want 1,000 true fans. Not everybody is going to be your true fan. Here's a comment that popped up on Reddit. Literally yesterday, I got notified that somebody popped this up on Reddit. Eamon, I tell you what, stop asking. Yes, if you would have shown up on time, you would have seen that yes. But listen, stop asking the same thing over and over again. I love you. You're a good person, but ease up on that. So, exactly, sniper demons, exactly. This is why I go straight to the chase. And not everybody likes that, so just like I did with Eamon just now. Eamon is one of my paying customers, and I know that I can be kind of funny and friendly with Eamon. But that does piss off some people, especially people who are showing up for free. Oh, SQL Dev DBA, thank you. I appreciate that. That was very cool. Because I went in there this morning and I totally, absolutely owned this. I was like, yep, you're absolutely right. I put in things like soundboards in chat. And not everybody wants to hear things like that. Sometimes people get pissed off when they hear music going on in the background. I have techno music in between the breaks, booze, yes, all of that. So this was the thing that the person originally complained about, and they're right. And I absolutely owned it, and I replied to him, you're 100% correct. And someone else replied in, and I love their reply. Brent isn't everyone's favor. But when you're very tall, it's easy to talk down. Yeah, but I have arms like a pipe cleaner, and I don't mean that in any kind of good way. I thoroughly enjoy everything about it. The banter, the voices, the transitions. Me talking like Clippy isn't going to please everybody. In fact, it's probably going to alienate 75% of the audience. And I'm fine with that. I'm totally okay if I piss off 75% of the audience. Because the 25% who remain like me, they like my stuff, they want to show up. And exactly, people are going to want to punch Clippy in the face. Some of you love Clippy, D. Tovey. You still find me annoying. It's just that now you laugh at it in terms of that. When I do stuff like that, when I wear a green lycra suit, years ago when I dressed up as Richard Simmons, when I dress up as the Stig, this isn't books online. What you see me doing is different than what anybody else in the industry does, and they're not all going to like it, and that's okay. The idea of being different, when you're a kid, it's terrifying. When you're a kid, you want to be exactly like everyone else, and you don't want anyone to dislike you. But as you become more of an adult, you realize that you really need people who will ravingly follow what you do. This post is fantastic. The guy talks about how you need 1,000 true fans. And if you just get 1,000 true fans, if you can get them to pay you $100 a year, you can make a living. You're completely fine. All you need to do is come up with enough unique, dynamic content, scripts, tools, whatever it is, movies, music, comics, to come up with 1,000 people a year who love what you do and are willing to, as he puts it, drive 200 miles in order to see you speak. Your true fans, the people who really love you and follow your work, they probably won't come up with the exact same 3 words that you come up with in order to describe you. But I guarantee if I ask the kinds of people who show up in my Twitch sessions, hey, come describe me in 3 words, y'all would do a really good job of it. Y'all probably wouldn't come up with pain relieving, independent, and irreverent, but you would come up with words that are really similar, and you would know what to expect from me. If I walked on the camera and I was wearing a tie, you would know something's up. If I came up here and I was just completely dead straight the whole time, today we will be talking about backup compression and what happens when you turn it on. When you turn it on, CPU usage goes up. You'd be like, Brent, have you been kidnapped? Is everything okay, Brent? Are you doing all right? You've also grown to know that I do oddball things when we're talking 200 miles to know. Whoa, wow. I wonder who it was. Well, I was going to say I wonder who it was because I immediately thought musician. Is whenever I drive 200 miles to see somebody, it's usually a musician. But because y'all know me and y'all know the types of work that I do, the way that I like to talk, the conversations that we have, the true stories of my career from the past, you irrelevant. I love that. That's pretty good. The more that you know me, the person that I am, who I am, it makes you understand that when I come give a session, regardless of the topic, you know how the delivery style is going to go. And either you're going to be interested in it or you're not. And there's no 2 ways about it. In the SQL Server community, wow, I loved Huey Lewis in the News. They were the first cassette tape that I ever bought. First cassette tape I ever had was Huey Lewis in the News. And my wife is like, what? You bought what? Who? And I had to play it, and she was like, yeah, you're a white guy. That's exactly how that works. I kind of have to own that. But so the more specific that you can be about yourself, the other thing that's interesting about this, about people knowing what your brand is that you'll almost never have to qualify yourself on a call. When someone knows who you are, when someone knows what you do, like we talked about in the 300 level session, when they know the kind of pain relief solutions that you provide, by the time they've called you, by the time that they brought you in for a job interview or a career, consulting engagement, they know what you look like, how you talk, what you work on. They feel like they have a relationship with you already. That's your goal. Is that you want someone to already know that you are the person for them. I've started the blog at BrentOzar.com about 20 years ago, back in 2000. So I get that when I talk about this kind of thing, there's a little bit of survivorship bias. There's a lot of survivorship bias. But the 300 miles for Lincoln Park, woof. Wow. I do have to say I love Numb. I love the song Numb. That's actually pretty awesome. When they used that in the Miami Vice soundtrack, I was pretty impressed. But there's some survivorship bias because I've been doing this for 20 years. But you've got to believe me when I say that since the moment that I started doing consulting about a decade ago, since that very moment, no one has ever said to me, Brent, I need you to give me the pros and cons on why you should hire me as opposed to firm X. Because by the time that they've seen me, they've already decided whether they want to hire me or not. It's just a question of whether or not I'm available, whether or not I have the service available that they want to provide, and whether or not they're willing to fork out the cash. But I'm always like, look, if you want to go hire someone else, if you want to go hire firm A, B, or C, I'll be the first person to tell you whether I have a relationship with that firm, whether I would recommend that firm. I can tell you the number of times where I've told someone said, well, we're trying to decide between y'all and SQL skills or y'all and straight path. And I'm like, just you go see who has the lower price and the earlier availability because any of us will solve your problem. Based on the description and the data that I have about your server, you're absolutely fine with any one of those companies. Or sometimes they'll say, hey, we're trying to decide between you and a local company, and I'll look at their data and I'll go, oh yeah, no, you'll be fine with the local company, go ahead. Or here are the questions that you should ask when you talk to the local company. Here are the kinds of questions that you should ask and the answers that you should expect. Here's the quick technical screening type stuff. But otherwise, I don't have to qualify myself on a call because people know whether I'm a good fit or not. Companies know at the instant that they look at a webcast with a guy in a Detroit hoodie, they know if I'm a fit for them or not. Because a lot of companies, I'm not. I alienate 75% of people, and I'm okay with that. I just made that number up on the fly. I wouldn't be surprised if it was closer to 90. So your true fans are kind of like your favorite coworkers. Those people who know that you spend $5,000 a year on Lego, they are going to be the people that you get really excited to work with in the future. So that's also why it's so important to be transparent and real. You don't want to try to be someone you're not. I am a perfectly qualified solutions consultant who specializes in Polybase, and I've worked with dozens of enterprise companies. You know, the more that you make yourself out to be stuffy, if you're not, your skin's going to be crawling the whole time that you're working with these other people because they actually are into that kind of thing. So when you're picking out 3 words, you want to pick out 3 words that help you stand out from others, and also 3 words that mean the most to you personally. And Lego Collector is a great example of one of those 3 words. These words are your elevator pitch, so that when someone says, "What do you do?" you can say things like, well, I'm a SQL Server person who's fun and independent, or I'm a Power BI professional who loves collecting Lego and watching, I'm trying to come up with a safe for work, TikTok. There you go. That's much better. You want to be comfortable saying this stuff out loud because you're going to need it all the time. You're going to have to continuously say it. And then also, everything that you build when you're writing blog posts, when you're doing presentations, etc., you need to get those 3 words in as much as possible. Not necessarily literally, but you want to throw in things that just kind of hint at the kind of person that you are. Expert is probably going to be tough for you to pull off. It's tough for me to pull off because, like all of you, I suffer from imposter syndrome. I had a hard time putting the word expert or guru on any of my resumes ever. SQL Server, when I was working for Quest Software, they gave me business cards that said SQL Server expert. And I'm like, not even close. Because no matter where you're at on your career path, if you're working with technology, you always feel like an imposter. You always feel like you're learning for someone else. But this is also your competition. Everyone that you're up against feels the same way. And if you think that they don't feel the same way, they're faking it. Everyone in our industry is Googling as fast as they can. They're trying to figure out how this technology works so that they can catch up and be ready to deliver whenever the client wants some things. I'm by no means saying that you should lie on your resume or that you should say you have experience that you don't. The big thing with imposter syndrome is to be clear about what you've learned so far and what your clients haven't learned yet. Your clients are paying you for what you already knew, or else what you've demonstrated a clear ability to learn. If I'm going to build a Kubernetes cluster, I'm sure not ever going to build a Kubernetes cluster, but if I'm going to build a Kubernetes cluster, I'm going to go hire Anthony Nocentino. There's a guy, Anthony Nocentino. He's the Kubernetes guy. If you're going to do a Kubernetes cluster, he's the guy that you really go off and go to. See, that was exactly what I was going to say. I was going to say OnlyFans when we were talking about watching stuff. You're going to go hire Anthony Nocentino. And I don't care if he's learning something for the first time about Kubernetes clusters. He has demonstrated a very clear understanding of how Kubernetes clusters work, and he will learn how to solve the problems that he encounters along the way. Similarly, if I'm going to go hire someone who knows how to build a serverless solution with AWS Lambda, I'm going to hire Richie. Richie Rump is the guy who does that for me. And anything that we run into along the way, because we constantly run into problems that we haven't solved yet, I know that he's going to figure it out because he's good at Google and he knows what to look for, has a good BS detector, as we talked about in the last session. So now once I've covered up with my 3 words, the 3 words to describe me and that I'm going to use in order to get people to understand who I am, now I have to communicate that to people. Marketing is about using those 3 words in a way that the public will start to remember them and respond to them. When you go to pick a brand name, you don't want to use those 3 words. You don't want to say approachable, technical, likable.com. But if you're building marketing for your own name in the year 2020, you should use your own name. Don't try to come up with something witty like sequel superhero or sequelsuperhero.com. You don't have enough money to own that. Oh, sure, you could, the domain name might be unclaimed. Same thing with the Twitter handle. But you're never going to be able to spend enough money to get people to remember, oh, I have a problem with Kubernetes. I should, I have whole opinions about that. I have strong opinions about that, which is very interesting. But I wish there was an adult switch on TikTok that would let me just say, no, I'm a child. I don't want to see adult entertainment, people. I just want to see dogs, people crashing into things, cooking, and travel. Like, I don't want to see stuff like that. And Richie has a point here. So like Joris, so I can say this because this is also stuff I will do on rehearsals that I won't do in the real thing. So Richie Rump's Twitter handle is Joris23. He went on to TikTok, and I'm like, how the hell do I find this guy? Because I remember Joris, but I didn't remember 23. And I'm like trying to find through all the Jorises how you're going to do it. It's so much easier to just use your full name. Pick your name, use your full name your entire life, and do your branding off of that. Because the technology that you're going to be interested in over time is going to change. So it's easier to just get people to hire you and remember you by using your name. So how do we get people to remember your brand, to remember your name and the 3 words or their approximation of the 3 words that are involved? That's what marketing really is. And there are 2 ways that you can do marketing. Inbound marketing is basically buying ads. I'm sorry, outbound. Outbound marketing is buying ads. Outbound marketing works immediately, and I'm using that in air quotes for a reason. It works immediately in that you can spend the money right away, and you can maybe track clicks right away. People will immediately start clicking on you. But at the moment that they click on you, they have no idea who the hell you are. They're clicking on an ad, and they have a built-in suspicion that the ad is a lie. People believe when they look at outbound marketing that whatever you're saying in that ad is full of poop. So not only is it expensive, but it's a total gamble. You're trying to think that you can outwit the public and get them to believe that they should spend money on you right away. This is different. Inbound marketing is very, very slow. Inbound marketing is writing content, blog posts, presentations, scripts, things that you're going to give away for free. And as people read your blog posts, you're not even going to have to advertise them because people will Google for the content. They'll Google for how to build a Kubernetes cluster and when the Kubernetes cluster for SQL Server because you want it to be relevant to what you're doing. As they read through this, if you can use as many examples as possible of your own brand inside there, here, we're going to build a Kubernetes cluster to handle images of my Lego collection. Man, I've spent $5,000 on Lego this year. I really want to be able to start blogging about it. So, and this is inside your blog post. I expect this to go viral. I'm going to need a bunch of web servers. I decided to use Kubernetes. Here's how I'm going to make sure that this thing scales out to handle all these people who want to come look at my Lego collection. So now you're really hooking in people who are also interested in your 3 words. As a tech expert, this is the only kind of marketing that you want. Vendors actually pay people to write inbound marketing content for them. This, for you, is free. And I say that because your time is free. You have lots of time. You don't have a lot of money, or at least I don't. And if you do have a lot of money, I would like some of yours. These are what we mean by inbound marketing tools. Blog posts, white papers, and books. These are things in writing. Presentations when you go out and talk. Of course, in the age of COVID-19, you're not going out and talking in person. You're doing it online, which actually makes it even better. You can, exactly. And I'm going to have an image of that too as well, Dudish. Bingo, exactly. Videos, streaming, Twitch and so forth, social media, Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram. LinkedIn actually works for business type stuff. I can't stand it because the kind of people who succeed on LinkedIn are the people who wear ties. You know, it's a very businessy kind of network. When a yo-yo like me comes in on LinkedIn, I don't tend to do very well. And I'm okay with that. I'm comfortable with that. But the stuff that you build has to have your brand words in it as often as possible. You want to work in stories about your experience. You want to work in pictures, in code samples. Whenever you build a table, for example, the table should be create table Lego pieces, and you're going to have a row for each one. You're going to have attributes that describe the color and number of blocks or whatever it is that Lego people like to do. Hell if I know. See, you can obviously tell that I'm faking it there on that one. The more that you can work in, like every time you do a sample table, oh, or Oliver. Oliver is the other thing that I think of with Oliver and Richard Hammond. You know, that you immediately build in endearment. If you know cars and Richard Hammond, you know Oliver is his little car, his little fella. This outbound marketing, when you start building in pictures and tables with code that refer to your hobbies, you're going to feel like it's over the top. You're going to feel like, oh my God, I feel so self-conscious when I'm writing blog posts and I'm including things like Legos inside there. Whenever you feel self-conscious, go open up any magazine and go start taking a look at the pictures of the ads inside there. The ads inside there will remind you how incredibly over the top outbound marketing is. It is stunning to me that people can put together ads that look like this. And it's shameless. It's hundreds of thousands, millions of dollars in order to create ads like this. I wouldn't be able to do this with a straight face. It's incredibly in your face. But the thing is, if you're going to do outbound marketing, that's how it works. They are jamming pictures in your face. Coca-Cola is amazing. Watch soccer on whatever network it's on. Same thing with inbound marketing. If I'm going to build inbound marketing material, if I'm going to do presentations, if I'm going to do blog posts, it has to use as much references to the things I love as possible. This is from one of my earliest sessions at SQL Bits, T-SQL tuning with Colin Chapman, Enzo Ferrari, and the Stig. The way that I started out this presentation is I said, well, there are a lot of race car drivers that are out of work lately. I can't even remember why it was, but a lot of race car drivers are retiring and they're finding out that a lot of their skills map over beautifully to database administration. And I talked about all these lessons that Formula One drivers could use from their own lives and apply them to their work of performance tuning T-SQL. You can do the same kind of thing inside your own material. You look for fun and creative ways in order to build your brand in. Then be consistent everywhere that you are. So for example, here's my Twitter bio. I make Microsoft SQL Server go faster. I love teaching, travel, and laughing. I live in California with my wife, Erica. My preferred pronouns are he and him. So this is kind of my elevator pitch when I'm talking to people to introduce myself. I don't say I'm independent, irreverent, and pain relieving because it just sounds stuffy. But here's the way that I've worked it into a sentence. I make Microsoft SQL Server go faster. That's the pain. That's the thing I lead with. If you're interested in that, I'm your guy. Here's what I love to do, teaching, travel, and laughing. And if you don't like this, which sounds funny, but there are seriously people who can't stand that. You're not one of them because you're here in the stream. There are a hell of a lot of people who aren't in the stream because they don't like streams that are making jokes and putting soundboards inside the background. Live in California with my wife, Erica, and he and him. Same thing here. This is come on down. Instagram, I make SQL Server go faster. I love teaching, travel, and laughing. I live in California with my wife, Erica, he and him. Facebook, I make SQL Server go faster. I love teaching, travel, and laughing. You want to beat it in over and over. Just when you think that people haven't heard it enough, believe me, they still have not even come close to hearing it enough yet. Chris, I feel the same way. I prefer laughing. And a lot with my branding, the reason why I teach the stuff the way that I do is because I remember when I was a database administrator or learning to become a database administrator, I was bored out of my gourd I would read books and they were so dry. They were like a California fire risk. These things were so dry. I wanted people to just come up and make the material lively. I'm like, if all I wanted was books online, I would just go read books online. I want to hear someone's personality. I want to have virtual coworkers. Midnight DBAs were a great example of that. Midnight DBAs, when you saw that brand, when you knew who they were, you saw them talking with Sean cooking, putting pictures of it on his Instagram. All these things were like, oh, I kind of follow them. I'm friends with them. Virtually they didn't know who I am. But, like I could say, I know who those people are and what makes them interesting and unique. And it was the opposite of boring. It wasn't like reading books online. They were real people. Vendors want inbound material too. Vendors, Quest, Redgate, SQL Sentry, or Sentry One, Idera, all these vendors, they want inbound marketing too. And they don't have people, enough people at least, who can write enough material for them. They will hire you on a contract basis. They will pay you to give presentations on their webcasts. They will pay you for white papers. And they actually want you to have your brand worked into it. They want you to have a lively piece of informative content because that's what makes people sign up. I'm not going to say this on the Bits one because I don't think it's appropriate when I do the final version for the SQL Bits conference. But one of the reasons that companies like Quest hire me for doing sponsorship and webcasts and whatever is because they know when I show up, I'm going to produce something interesting and lively. Thanks, Mike. I appreciate the kind words. I'm going to do something interesting and lively, and that drives registrations. People sign up to register to watch that kind of thing. They watch me for 45 minutes doing something stupid, and then the vendor gets to talk for 15 minutes about how their pain relief option works easier than the stuff built into Microsoft SQL Server. You can do the same kind of thing. Every vendor out there will hire people like you as you demonstrate that here, I've written a few good blog posts. Here's how people are commenting on the posts, finding it interesting. Now, I'd like to do the same exact thing for you, and you can have them help build your own brand too as well. The counterintuitive part to all this is that you've got to give it away. You have to absolutely give it away completely for free. If you walk into a coffee shop, they're not giving away free samples. However, it's because they're selling coffee. You have to understand what your product is, what you're charging money for, and what you're not charging money for. When you go into a coffee shop, you don't have to pay for access to the electrical outlets. You don't have to pay for access to the Wi-Fi. That stuff is free because it's designed to get you in the door to go buy coffee, just like you can go to use the restroom at McDonald's all over the United States. McDonald's is famous for having incredibly clean restrooms. That's a strategy. They want to have the cleanest restrooms out on the highway. They take pride in that because they know that if you come in for a rest stop, you're probably going to feel guilty. You're probably going to buy a soda, which is one of the most high margin items on their menu. So that's how they make their money. So when you're selling a book or video or training class, it's obvious what you're charging people money for, what your product is. When you're trying to get a job, for those of you out there like me, I try to get consulting work, although I sell training classes, that's a little bit different. But when you're trying to get a job or build a career, the product is you. And if they're not paying for you, everything else should be free. Everything that you can give away, you should. But if someone wants private time for you, that's where the money comes in. For years, I've had an email template that I send out to people. When someone emails me for help, and it happens on average, I get over 300 emails a day. Whenever I have an email, I'll immediately do a canned reply. If it's a question, I have a Gmail canned reply that just goes back and says, that's a great question. I do answer questions for free, but here are where you post them. It has to be in public. Go to dba.stackexchange.com, go to SQLServerCentral.com, and so forth. Here are the places that you can go, SQL Help on Twitter. If you haven't gotten an answer back within 24 hours, then email me a link to the question, and I'll be glad to parachute in. But otherwise, I'd rather teach you to fish. If you do need private help from me and only me, here's how to go hire me. And that weeds out 99.99% of people who are requesting from help. The reason why they're emailing and reaching out to you is because you're approachable, technical, likable, whatever. You're going to get a lot of that over time if you're really putting the work into building outbound material stuff. But a lot of people, like we talked in the 300 level session, simply don't have money. And if someone doesn't have money, I want to hook them up with the fastest, most reliable way to get free help for life. I am teaching them how to fish by saying, nope, you go post that on Stack Exchange or SQL Server Central or wherever it is that you want to post. And I will respond there if you don't get valid help from somebody else. But I'd rather you learn how to fish than hire me, than pay money to me for something that you can get for free. But if it is something that you need to get from me and you want to pay money for it, absolutely, I am totally there. So, examples of free stuff that people give away that's kind of counterintuitive. Andy Weir, the book The Martian, which ended up becoming a blockbuster movie, of course, starring Matt Damon. He gave that book away for free as he was writing it online because he needed to build a following. If he'd have charged for it from day one, never would have caught on the way that it did. He made money on the back end later, lives a very comfortable life now, but had to give stuff away for free in order to get started. The book Down and Out in the Magic Kingdom is one of the best books about understanding how the social economy works. Now, it's a science fiction book, but when you get your head around it, you start to understand how it affects our own work in our social media, gathering reputation, and so forth. And of course, Linux. These days, who doesn't know Linux, which started out as a completely free product and still is today. In the SQL Server kingdom, we think about it as some of the stuff that you can go get for free. Did I move this to? No, okay. I thought I should have put this on a separate slide. And I'm actually going to change that here. Let's go edit this. Examples or data community examples. Move this over here and put this in here. And I'm going to lose that up there. Nope, get rid of you. And move you up there. And then I got to put a whole bunch more stuff inside here because I got a whole bunch of list of things that I want to put in there. And so we'll talk about this when I go do the SQL Bits thing. I'm going to give a blurb for each of this, how people in the community have been using this stuff for so long, and you just wouldn't even think. They're just out there. You can go use it anytime that you want. And if you needed help with any of these pieces, you would contact the author because obviously they're experts at this kind of thing. They built it. My own SP Blitz, I got to put that in the list because I'm going to forget about it. It would be really embarrassing. SP Blitz and Friends, or we'll say the First Responder Kit. Responder Kit. And I probably want to finish the list with that one just because we'll talk about how the vast majority of the audience, y'all have used that kind of thing for years. You use it to make your jobs easier. People tell me all the time that they charge money for clients to use this. Like they'll walk in and do a SQL Server health check. They'll get paid money for the SQL Server health check, and they really didn't do anything. All they did was run SP Blitz, put the results together in a more easy to understand format for the client, and then they charged them an absurd amount of money for it. And I'm like, good. I want you to make a good living because your competition, they're not any better than you are. They know what you're doing. As people need unit tests, you'll notice that testable is not on my resume. It's not one of my 3 words. So kind of like the recap slide for this is this right here. If it can be given away for free, then someone's going to do it. Why not have it be you? If you can do it at relatively low work, now granted, running an open source repository is a giant time suck. It's an emotional suck. There are downsides with giving things away for free. There is unexpected support involved, and you have to build in a framework like a Slack channel where other people can start to pick up and do some of that support request for you. But if you do it, giving away this knowledge scripts and videos and so forth, this is going to build your reputation for the rest of your life. So we talked about in the last session having a 1-year plan to go build out something tangible like a training course, an ebook, a webcast. Along the way of you building it, every time you're doing any kind of research or prep for that, you need to give away as much blog posts and scripts as you can along the way. And it sounds kind of funny. to say you're in a year you're going to charge $200 for a training class on something. Here's how you do database maintenance at the enterprise level. It's a $200 class. It sounds really odd to say that you're going to charge for that, and the whole year long you're going to write blog posts about how you do that exact thing. You're going to think at the end of that year, well, why would anyone ever want to pay me money when I've given away so much for free? And the answer is because you're now the expert. You're the person whose name everyone knows. And the sad truth of reality is people, a lot of them don't read your work. A lot of them know your name through the work, but they didn't actually read it. This happens to me all the time. I felt really guilty for building a class called How I Use the First Responder Kit, where it's just how I use SP Blitz, Blitz Cache, Blitz First, all these things. And the reason why is that it sells really well is that people tell me, yeah, you blogged a whole lot about it, but I don't even know where to begin. Just tell me in a quick rundown fashion. I'm willing to spend the $200 in order to learn that. And I know that firsthand. Richie and I are struggling with vacuuming issues in Postgres. And we've even tried to hire consultants, and people have said, can't you just read these 5 articles and figure out how it works? And I'm like, dude, the things are 500 pages long. I don't have the time. I will give you money if you will just break it down for me in a live consulting engagement and figure out why we're having problems with vacuuming. So I got to work on how I'm going to deliver that recap slide, because obviously it needs to be a little cleaner and tighter in how I talk through that lesson. This will be the resources link. It's not available yet. That will go live on Tuesday. And the resources link, I'm going to talk through this in the bits session, just the books that I recommend in order, and so forth. Kevin, you're welcome too. I don't know what that is, so I'm only in the class or the in the SQL Bits thing. I'm only going to talk about the stuff that I'm comfortable using and that I've used in the past with great success, as Borat would say. I'm going to also talk about how I bookmark everything online at Pinboard, so people can go read all my current bookmarks live and go see things like how my favorite links on businesses, careers, and so forth. We figured. Richie's like getting defensive. But we still don't know what we're doing, but I think we figured out a little bit how to better put it into our production process. And talk about my favorite resources for people who teach you how to do this stuff. So that is everything that I wanted to talk through. So now let's see. Yeah, so I'm going to have to edit the bejesus out of this. So we're at 60, ballpark 60 minutes. Oof, this is going to be interesting here. So hold on just a second. Let me switch over to a camera B and talk through how that went. So that gives you a feeling for what my first rehearsals are like. So that's the first time that I've stepped through that slide deck since I assembled it yesterday. I put the slide deck together yesterday, and it's an adaptation of something that I did like 5-6 years ago at the PASS Summit. And so it felt really rocky to me. I have a lot of work to do around storytelling and making it smoother, and I'm probably going to have to edit some stuff out. With y'all talking, it was like 60 minutes ballpark. I got to get it down to 45. Now, if I took out what you and I had side conversations about, that would probably knock off like 6 or 7 minutes, but it's not going to. Yeah, exactly, Chris. Yeah. Which is a pro and a con. I mean, I really love having the live interaction because I think it helps me craft the slides better. I love getting, I love doing sessions like this at SQL Saturdays and streaming first before I have to give it at a real conference, because the questions that people ask help shape the material. As people ask things or comment on things, like Midnight DBAs and the Minionware stuff, by pure total luck of the draw, Jen showing up inside here makes me go, yep, I'm going to add like 3 slides on. Here are who the Midnight DBAs are. Here's how you identify with them. Because I'm always looking for relatable examples inside of our own industry, and it's such a neat, good example. All right, so I'm happy with that in terms of a first draft, and I'll work on that this afternoon, and then I'll go record that. I won't do the recording during a live stream since, of course, y'all have already seen it. But now let's go work on the first responder kit. So I got some issues and pull requests that I need to work through for the first responder kit. So I know, right? Because I have the big wide open windows here in downtown. When the sun goes up, makes it a whole lot trickier to do the like center focus and all that kind of thing. And I could pull the slot or close all the blinds, and then it works a little better. But I'm kind of lazy. There's somebody in here from Home Depot like 6 months ago when we first started doing the streaming, and they were like, "I see you going back there and manually doing the blinds," and they were like, "Hey, why don't you, I'll hook you up with the people who do our electronic blinds, so you can push a button and they'll all go up or all down." We'll totally do that when The other thing is I'm thinking about. So when we move, so at some point we're going to move and come out of here because it's apartment building. Long story, but our lease is up like the end of this year, January, February, something like that. So we're still up in the air. If we can get to Iceland for 3 months, then we're going to do 3 months in Iceland. But if not, depending on how the tourism thing goes, we'll shift gears and maybe just move somewhere else in the U.S. We'll see what happens. Or I say somewhere else, it's either going to be Southern California or else Telluride, one of the two. Iceland will have no sun. This is absolutely true. We're going over in the winter, too. We would fly over in, I can't remember if it's end of Feb or early March for the dead of winter. But the dead of winter is the great time for the Aurora Borealis. So we have a home rented in the middle of nowhere with gig Ethernet. Woo! So definitely not Vegas. I don't know if you've seen pictures out of Vegas recently, but Vegas is not nearly the fun city now due to the coronavirus that it was. All right, so we'll take a 5-minute, I almost said coronavirus break. Oh, God, that's horrible. We'll take a 5-minute bio break, and when we come back, we'll do the first responder kit and work on our GitHub issues. So I will see y'all back here in 5 minutes. All right, welcome back. Gary, good to see you again too. That is Pretzel. So Pretzel rocks. You see go by on the stream comments every now and then. Pretzel's it's a free music player, and they have all kinds of playlists like upbeat and electronic and all that. But the thing that I love about it is it's stream safe, so you can use it on presentations and streams. It's like $6 a month if you get the stream safe version, to where you can make sure that the stuff goes live on YouTube and Facebook and Twitch, and you're not like screwing anybody's copyright. The artists actually get paid, so it's kind of cool. As opposed to if you use Spotify, like popular music, things that you'd probably recognize, which I usually code to dead mouse whenever I'm coding, but I can't put that up online. My stream would get taken down. So, plus also y'all would be extremely distracted. Okay, so yeah, oh man, it's always weird to go through and do those first drafts of a presentation and see how that works. Now let's do the first responder kit. Now let's go bring. It's funny. It kind of ties in with the Kurt. I have no idea. If you could shoot me an email, just because there'll be so much stuff will happen during the stream, I can't track notes on everything. So if y'all care passionately about that, shoot that out. Chris, wow, that's an interesting thing. So I took my so when I woke up at 2 a.m. this morning, I took my asthma inhaler much earlier than I normally would. So normally I wait until like 4:30 before I take a hit, as we call it around here, take a hit of my inhaler. And this morning I took it right at 2 o'clock. As soon as I was like 2:30, hopped out of the shower. And you're absolutely right. I don't think I have coughed on camera, which is kind of cool. Usually I do it at like 4 a.m. and 4 p.m. You're supposed to take it twice a day. And just for some reason this morning, I was like, I'm wheezing a little bit today. I think I'm going to take it earlier just to make sure that I'm taken care of. You're also right, because I remember I haven't had to the mute switch, and I'm always so self-conscious of trying to get to the mute switch fast enough in order to cover it. I have to kind of figure out where I need to stick that thing. So I use an Elgato Stream Deck. I'll kind of angle this thing around. That's as far as the cord goes. I use an Elgato Stream Deck with all kinds of buttons on it, and I put the cough button at the bottom right, and I'm realizing that it should really be on the bottom left, because I always hit it with my left hand, because you instinctively cover your phone. Where am I? Why is an orange here? Okay. Update on Helmet. So Helmet I heard back from Musicar, the place that's doing Helmet's audio, so I'm the first person in the U.S. to get the new speakers that they're working with from Morel. Morel's this company out of Israel, and so I'm the first person to get them, and so they're shipping directly from the factory. That's why they've been taking so long. I didn't want those. I wanted Dyne Audio speakers, but whatever. Musicar likes these better now. So I'm like, okay. But that just means that the speakers still aren't going to get to Portland until like Monday, Tuesday, which means I'm not going to get Helmet back for at least another week. Which also reminds me, I wanted to send them an email about a subwoofer. Hold on a second. Let me note that real quick. Just so that I don't forget it. Compose, Brento. I got an email from my mom. Subwoofer. Dudish says they got great speakers. See, I had no. And are you talking about Dyne Audio, or are you talking about Morel? I actually had never heard Morel before, but Dyne Audio I loved for years. Just fantastic speakers. But Morel, when I shipped a Helmet up there, he was supposed to get Morel mid-bass drivers and then Dyne Audio mids and tweeters, but evidently they have all new mids and tweeters coming out from Morel, so Musicar is all excited about that. Chris says, do you have your first road trip with Helmet planned out? Yes, we had something going, and I don't, Morel, okay. And I'd never heard of them, but they seem to be well respected, so I'm like, okay, cool. And I trust these guys. They know way more about audio than I do. So there's something on my calendar, and I can't remember what it is. In either October or November, there's something on my calendar that's a week long that was, from a business perspective, may cancel because of Corona, and I can't remember what it was. But if it does cancel, we're driving up to Malibu again. We're going to go up the Pacific Coast Highway, it's only a few hours from here, and do Malibu for a week. And what I love about Malibu is there are these great driving roads all through the canyons. So I really have a good time waking up first thing in the morning and racing up the canyons at sunrise, watching the sunrise, and then racing back down. So that's a lot of fun. It would likely be Malibu. And The next thing would be we would love to go to Vegas, but the restaurant that I love in Vegas still isn't open yet. And not that I'm surprised. It's a little 8-seat affair. There are only 8 seats in it, and everyone sits and watches the chef work. Well, you're all elbow to elbow. It doesn't make any sense with coronavirus, so I don't know what we want to do about that. I don't know that I'll go back to Vegas again for quite a while because of that. All right, so first responder kit. Let's go do some T-SQL. Let's see what's going on here. I think it's been a couple of weeks since we've done this live on the webcast, so let's see what we've got here. So we have, now see I'm so much smaller now on this when I go back to live coding. I'm not the big giant towering Brent. So let's see what we've got here in terms of issues. I know when I woke up this morning and I was looking at what we're going to do on the stream, I was like, oh, we got some stuff going on here that I should probably come in and take a look at. So it looks like SP database restore fails when restored database name is empty string. Oh, because you might pull the database name from the existing backup. Okay, all right. And I wouldn't be surprised if he had a pull request in with this. This one I saw reported, and I'm like, I don't know how you're going to solve this. I'm really curious how you're going to solve that. So we're going to learn if we go and do that. This one is because when Greg added a new listing the data types in SP Blitz Index, when you get the missing index list, Greg did some really cool code to pull the data types out. When I'm working disconnected with clients, they'll send me Blitz Index info, and I'll be like, I don't know if this index makes sense because I don't know if these columns are nvarchar max or what it is that they are. So Greg put some cool code in that will list after every column, it'll list the data type. Well, what we've got is some people have missing indexes that are more than 4,000 characters long. I don't know what the right fix is going to be, if I'm going to L-trim, R-trim, or how I want to do that, but or make the data type larger. We'll go and play around. In order to play around, I'm going to have to create really wide missing indexes. This one down here, the many duplicate plans, this one is, I think it's pretty straightforward. I don't think it's hard, and I don't want to do that live on a webcast. This one is a pull request, has a pull request with it where I work across two linked servers. Yes, exactly. And I don't know that I want to do that live on a webcast either. So what I'll do is I'll give y'all the choice between these two, so Blitz Who and XML parsing error. Let me tell you what's going on. I'm gonna text pad it out so that that we can have y'all tell me in the comments which one you like. So 2533 XML parsing error. The thing that I'm going to have, oh, jeez, I hate Windows. I hate Windows with a burning fiery passion, the likes of which will never be known by mere humans. XML parsing error, to fix it, I'm going to have to build a missing index greater than 4,000 characters long. Then, oh, Pierre, see, and I agree. I think it is tedious, boring, and not so complex, but you're right. It's very interesting, and I want to make sure that I get it, but I feel you in that it wouldn't be fun for a live stream. But I will do that either this weekend or Monday, depending. I know there are tools that you can use to put a poll up on Slack, and then the people on YouTube would just get angry. So, so that one will be fix SP Blitz Index to handle it. That's the choice number one. Then choice number two is number 2534, SP Blitz Who and RCSI. It's going to involve turning on RCSI, running a live workload, looking at SP Blitz Who's output. So here are your two choices. You can either do 2533 or 2534. I'm going to give y'all a minute to tell me which one you want to do in over in YouTube chat or in Twitch. Just give me a rough idea. So either say 2533 or 2534. We'll give y'all a second to put in your choices there. While I have a sip of my tasty beverage. Let's see what we get here. Oh, interesting. Okay, that was a good justification. Wait till the... All right. right, so it's looking like 8675309. That's very good. So it's looking like 2534. So most of them seem to be around 2534. We'll see how long it takes us to do it. If it's more than, if I go past 8 o'clock-ish, then I may stop there. You're not going to like this news, those of you who are regulars, but my coffee shop downstairs now opens at 7:30 instead of 8. Now, I am not going to go down there at 7:30 this morning. I am still too psyched up with everything that we have going on. Like the rehearsal went really well, and I'm excited to go tackle into this code. I don't even know that I'm going to go down there at 8 because I have coffee today, and although I don't have good breakfast today. I had oatmeal. Not too thrilled about that. All right, so RCSI, let's talk through this. I'm going to go pop over into SQL Server Management Studio. And I'm going to go right-click on the Stack Overflow database, go into Properties. I do just want the bagel and locks. It's absolutely true. So I'm going to go into Options, and I'm going to tell the little story of these two, of this database feature. So by default, SQL Server uses pessimistic concurrency. That's not the only way that you can do blocking. Order more Pizza Hut. We probably will do that tonight, actually. It's been like a week since we do it. I feel really guilty because we've been out for Mai Tais 2 days in a row, and Erica and I have gotten drunk 2 days in a row. And that, for those of you who are keeping score, today is Saturday. That means that we got drunk on Thursday and Friday, which is not responsible behavior. But again, that's part of my brand. So this isn't the way that this is set up here isn't the default for most other databases out there, like Azure SQL DB, Oracle, Postgres don't work this way. When you touch, no, definitely not. I was supportive for my wife, and she was wonderful about the whole support thing. She babied me throughout the course of 30 days, but I don't think she's going to do that again anytime soon. Plus, my weight is doing okay. I've been under 190 for like, 6 months now. RCSI, when you turn this on, magically readers and writers can coexist. But the thing that's tricky with that, welcome to the club, George. The thing that's tricky with that is it changes everyone's default isolation level over from read committed to read committed snapshot. But not all of the DMVs in SQL Server correctly and accurately report what your isolation level is. Some of them still say read committed, even when you have read committed snapshot turned on. So to understand that, what we're going to do is we're going to go start a transaction. I'm going to go hop into the Stack Overflow database because right now it's in the old school way. It's not in the brand new hotness way. What I need to do is I need to create a transaction that causes blocking, and then I'm going to run it from a whole bunch of different sessions. What I'm going to do is I'm going to start by dropping all my indexes. I'll drop all my non-clustered indexes. Then I'm going to create a stored procedure, creator alter proc, DBO USP blocker as begin end. We're going to say begin tran, update DBO users set reputation equals, no, we'll do last access date. So we'll say last access date equals get date, where display name equals, we won't even do it. We'll just do everybody. Screw it. Just make it easy. And then I'm going to do a wait for. I'm going to say wait for delay. I never remember if it's parentheses or not. 00002 should be 2 seconds. Let's test that just to see. Execute. It should wait for 2 seconds. Yes, perfect. So we're going to do wait for, and then we'll do a commit. And go. So now I have a stored procedure, and if I try to run this from a couple of places at the same time, actually let's even make it like 10 seconds. When I try to run it from a couple of places at the same time, I'm going to run into blocking issues. So we'll do a creator alter. Then in order to call that from a whole bunch of sessions, I'm going to use a utility that was originally written by Adam Mechanic called SQL Query Stress. And SQL Query Stress will run the same thing through a whole bunch of sessions. These days it's managed or maintained by a guy named Eric out of, I want to say Norway. I can never quite remember where Eric is out of. But if you Google for it, it'll take you to the GitHub repo. So I'm going to run that stored procedure. I have to point it at my current database server, and I'm going to point it at the Stack Overflow database. Say OK. I'm going to run the number of iterations is just how many times this query is going to execute times the number of threads that I'm going to run it on. I don't need a lot in order to simulate blocking. I'm just going to do like 4. Yes, the table variables don't roll back. Yes, Greg will be like beating that into people for the rest of the year. So we're going to say go, and then I'm going to go pop over into a new window, and I'm going to run sp blitz who, and I'm also going to run sp who is active just to show you these two stored procedures. And if I remember right, we don't surface that by default. We're going to say expert mode equals 1, and who is active, I'm going to say get additional info equals 1, I think is the parameter that does it. Yeah, perfect. Okay, good. So now I have my two stored procedures, or my two result sets, the two that people commonly use out in the industry. Let's be honest, almost everybody uses sp who is active. I'm only running sp who here, or sp blitz who, because my mission is to fix this one. I don't think that I can fix this one. I don't even know if this one's broken in the same way yet or not. We'll find out. So in here, I'm going to look at sp who is active to show you first. If I come across here to additional info in sp who is active, I don't run it with that parameter very often, but it'll show you things like what their isolation level is. So I can click on it, and what we have in here is transaction isolation level read committed, which is true right now for my database. I'm going to go back in, and I'm going to look at sp blitz who. So sp blitz who up on the top set says, there we go, transaction isolation level read committed. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to stop my load test. I'm going to switch my database over to RCSI, and I'm going to try it again. The nice thing about enabling RCSI is that forces everyone's isolation level over to the default of RCSI, meaning readers and writers can coexist. Let's go see if we switch over to, I'm going to cancel my running load test. I'm going to go into the database, and I'm going to enable RCSI. So we'll go over into options, and right here, I'm going to turn read committed snapshot isolation on. Anytime that I make changes in the scripting tool or in SSMS, I prefer to hit script up there just because I always want to learn what it's doing. So you can hit script. The other nice thing is if you get an error, you get the nice unfiltered error up here. So let's go hit execute on it and see how it works. One of the gotchas when you set RCSI is you have to be the only connection into the database. So what I need to do is go over to my other sessions, switch them over to the master database. I'm going to close this. Well, I'll keep him open just in case I need it. Over into the master database. And then you notice after I switched everybody out of Stack Overflow, then the RCSI turned on. To verify that RCSI is turned on, I'm going to say select star from sys databases. Where is read committed snapshot is, I want to say it's true. Can't remember if it's true or 1 or how that one works. Execute. So here we go. I have the Stack Overflow database has RCSI turned on. All right, cool. Now let's try our little experiment again. I'm trying to reduce the number of times that I go. So I know it's one of my tics, and I've been trying to work on that much more often. Now that I had to listen to a recording of myself recently, and I heard it so much, I'm like, what the Sam hell is going on in that guy's mouth? Now let's try again. And it doesn't lock SSMS, and it doesn't go unresponsive, which is another pain in the rear. Let's try our stored procedure again. So let's go hit go again, and then I'm going to go back over to our two stored procedures and run them. I'll look at sp who is active first. If I come across to sp who is active and I look at the isolation level, so this is the challenge. I don't think any industry tools work right with this. I don't think anybody correctly reports what isolation level you're really under. Because technically, I don't think it makes a difference for the writers. If you're doing writing, you're still blocking other writers. So for all practical purposes, for a writer, you're still read committed. It's not like you magically change to RCSI. It's not like you're going to read stuff from the version store when you're trying to write it. But let's see how ours responds. Let's come across here and see, look at that. Da, 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 da. It's the wrong sound effect. It's supposed to be, that's better. Okay, so the report, though, was saying that it doesn't always respond that way, that it doesn't always say read committed snapshot isolation. I have a hunch that the times where we're not correctly grabbing that are the times when people are doing selects but not writes. So let's create another stored procedure. Greg said, I thought that sound was slamming on a key. I have a brand new keyboard. It's not here. I'm still using the crappy one, but I have the brand new Keychron K8 is sitting over in the sunlight disinfecting from fresh from China, so that's kind of awesome. With a new set of silent keys, so I'm excited to hopefully be able to use that thing and not this keyboard anymore. Richie, that reminds me, I hate yelling people's names out on webcast, but Richie, if you want the one you sent me, let me know and I'll ship it down to you along with the key tester. I was just going to send you the key tester, but if you want your old one, I'll send it down. I didn't know if you wanted it down either way. Also, tell me what microphone. I have a spare giant Electro Voice, that Electro Voice RE20, I think it is, that I used to use. If you want that one, holler. It makes for a really good weapon if you need to beat somebody about the head, like your daughter's soccer opponents or coaches or whatever those people are. So I have a hunch that it has to do with queries that are doing selects, that are not doing writes. So let's try select count star from DBO users. I'm going to switch over to the Stack Overflow window, and I'm going to do a go 20 on that, just so that the query starts up and it's blocked, and you're going to see it, kind of jerk through from time to time. I'm going to go back up and run spblitzwho and who is active again. Now, I want to see, oh, of course that one's not getting blocked. I was going to say it's going to get blocked, but no, it's not. And that also shows read committed snapshot isolation. Whoa! All right, so this is kind of a blessing and a curse now at this point, because if I'm not able to reproduce the problem, I'm not really sure how I'm going to code a fix. So let's see if LowlyDBA had an idea. LowlyDBA said, let me zoom into here. Normally I should have read the instructions first. LowlyDBA says if a queue has an entry in systemtran active snapshot database transactions and its snapshot is 0, then it is reported with incorrect. What? This is not incorrect. The problem lies in the fact that oh, a very busy system. Okay, great. And he says very quick transactions. Okay, great. Let me change my reproduction. So instead of having blocking, I'll go ahead and cancel that and I will change the stored procedure. He says on a very quick transact or a very busy OLTP session with lots of individual transactions. Okay, let's simulate that. Instead of updating all of the users, let's update one user. Let's say set last access date where ID equals, let's go get a random number. I'm going to do a random number in between 1 and like a million. Someone has good instructions that may help. Yes, nicely done. Nicely done. So let's go get a random number. So how to generate random number SQL Server. And let's see if Panal, I was positive that you'd be right like length number 1. There we go, random number generator script. So let's see what we've got here. Ooh, nice, a lower and an upper. Oh, that's pretty cool. Random float numbers, random number quick scripts. Which one do I want? Oh, that's kind of cool. I think I'm going to go with the top one. I like that one with the range. That's pretty slick. So let's go put that up over here. Where's my stored procedure? So let's go. So we've got, this will create a random number. So we'll say up here, right up at the top, code shamelessly copied from SQLauthority.com. Random number upper and lower. Let's say, I want to say there are 9 million rows ballpark. We'll say 8 million. And let's see first if it actually works. I'm not saying that Panal's code doesn't always work. It does always work, but I just want to show y'all how it works. Let's go back over to that side. So this is giving me a random number every time that I execute it. So now I'm just going to update that one user's row. So here, now instead of selecting it back, I can just say, hey, I don't even need to select it. I can just do this. Copy equals this. Now I don't even have to set the value. Set last what? Oh, because I got to be in the Stack Overflow database. Stack Overflow. And now we got that. And I don't technically need the random variable. I don't need to wait for anymore. Now we're just going to rock it through. I don't need a transaction. I'm just going to go through. I'm going to leave it in there just in case. Not just in case I need it, but just in case it's relevant to the repro. Okay, let's go throw that into production and let's try again. Now, he said a very busy OLTP system, so let's use our friend SQL Query Stress in order to help with that. When I hit execute on this, all holy hell is going to break loose because I'm going to use like 100 threads. This may cause Twitch or YouTube to go a little bit wonky as the CPU goes through the roof on this VM. Let's go find out. I'm going to go across like say 200 threads and I'll do, we'll just do 100 iterations and hit go. You'll watch the light fade from view. And now let's go over and do this over here. I don't think it's actually working. Wow. I may need to wait for, oh, there we go. We got one. We got lucky and got one. And, yes, yes, yes. Oh, yes. Look at what we've got there. So SQL Server somewhere in here is not reporting the correct isolation level. Now, I hate bugs like this because, of course, I am luck of the draw when I reproduce this. I may have to test a whole bunch of times to see if whatever the proposed fix is actually works. So at least now we're able to reproduce the problem. Now let's see if in a perfect world, if I had unlimited time, I would go through and look at the DMVs that were pulling this because I would rather reproduce it with a straight DMV query than hitting our own stuff. So first, let's really understand the problem. Let's go see exactly what column we're pulling this from. I want to say it's like, well, oh, he said DM open transactions. So transaction isolation level. Let's go see what. So he says, I'll make a, if read committed snapshot, oh, if RCSI is turned on for the target database, and the query returns 2 for transaction isolation level, then we should just override whatever the transaction's reporting. Oh, that's a little risky. So the question becomes, this is going to be a little tricky in order to explain. What my concern is that someone could ask for a transaction isolation level of read committed as part of their transaction, and the code in that pull request might override and say it's RCSI when it is not. I don't know if you can hint read committed when the database is read committed snapshot isolation. To do that, I'm going to have to run another experiment in order to find out. So let's go see. And I know one of y'all might know and you might tell me, but I don't trust you. So let's come back over here and try that with another transaction. Let's try set transaction isolation level read committed and execute. Oh, you can. Begin tran, update DBO users, set reputation equals 1 million, where ID equals 26,837. Go. So now I have a transaction open under read committed. And let's go see what, for example, yeah, that's probably a good, we'll start there. Oh, beautiful. That goes, okay, good. Let's see what this thing returns. Oh, it's not going to show the sleepers. Oh, the one down on the bottom one does, though. So the SP who is active is showing that correctly. SP who is active is showing that the transaction isolation level is recommitted, but it could also be snapshot. This is where the bug is. Now, what about the fix that person put in? Will it show the transaction as read committed snapshot when it's really not? Let's go look at that DMV. So that DMV, what do I have to pass in? Do I have to pass in anything? Select copy star. Oh, that one might only have transactions that are in snapshots. No, you dirty, no good. Okay, so this says is SysDMTran active snapshot. It's sys session ID 52. Is that the session where I'm doing my update? It is. So this thing says it's got a row in tran active snapshot database transactions. It says is snapshot equals 0. Does that match what that person there, what lowly DBA was specking? Lowly DBA says if RCSI is on and the query returns a value of 2 for transaction isolation level, then show snapshot isolation. Okay, I like that because we didn't have a value of 2. What one was he looking at? He says transaction isolation level. It's not even in this. It must be in another DMV. Okay, my work continues. So let's see. Let's go look at his pull request. Let's see what he's got inside here. So files changed. So he's looking at, so he's getting something for transaction isolation level out of whatever the alias S is. I'm going to guess that that's sessions. I don't actually know. I'm going to copy paste this out of the code, and we're going to go look in SP Blitz Who. Temp, C temp, and first responder kit, and SP Blitz Who. We're going to do a control F for that. Here it is. So where's the from for this table? What's the from that we're pulling this from? SysDM exec sessions. Okay, cool. So SysDM exec sessions. Let's go see what's inside of SysDM exec sessions for this. Select star from SysDM exec sessions where session ID equals 52. This 52 is the one where I got my transaction open in. And let's see. There it is. Here it says transaction isolation level is 2. Now, the hell does that mean? SysDM exec sessions, copy, and come over here and paste that in. And let's see what transaction isolation level means. And let's go zoom in and see what it means. Transactional isolation level, if it's 2, that means read committed. Unfortunately, that means this pull request will not work. It's part of the work involved with open source. So what's happening is this pull request says if the person's transaction isolation level reports that this says read committed, but the database has RCSI turned on, then we should tell folks that this is an RCSI transaction, except it may not be, because as we just demoed, if the user starts their transaction with a hint and asks for read committed, it may not be RCSI. Now, is there an actual difference? With me doing that hint, does it actually give me some different behavior than RCSI? Now I got to check again. All right, to figure out whether or not this is going to involve RCSI, what I'm going to need to do is do a read from inside of this transaction, trying to read something that's currently locked in a different section. All right, so this, I'm going to do a new vertical tab group for this. Over here on the right, this is going to be my transaction that should be blocked if the transaction on the left is doing what I expect it to do. So let's go start something and say begin tran. No one's probably following this. Like, it's really hard to explain what I'm thinking out loud at the same time that I'm live coding. If you're following this, let me know in the chat. Also, if you're not following this, let me know in the chat, because I'm just curious how my explanation's doing. Begin tran, update DBO user set. Let's go find who we're going to go. Select star from DBO users, where display name like Joris. Botsko says, I just entered. Good to see you, Botsko. So here's Joris. He's 621. Let's say reputation equals F. F, I assume, means following, not F that I'm getting a failure on my explanations, which would also be funny. Oh, good. Y'all are following. Oh, that's kind of cool. Reputation equals 621. I'm always following you. That's funny, Emmanuel. That's good in more than one way. Okay, good. Oh, there's a lot with you. Okay, good. So that reputation equals 1 million where ID equals 621. And so over on the left-hand side, so this is Richie. Or I could just say where display name equals Richie equals Joris. Is it actually Joris? Yeah, it's just plain Joris. Okay, cool. F means respect. Oh, I like that, Daniel. That's pretty good. I like that. Let's see. If I do that begin tran, he's okay. He's locked because he's trying to get a table scan. That's fine. I'm going to roll back, and I should just do ID number 621, and then I'm going to be okay. ID equals 621. Okay, so here's what's going on. On the left-hand side, I have a lock. I have an exclusive lock on row 621. Right-hand side, now I want to go see. If this guy is truly operating under read committed, then when he goes to get a lock, or when he goes to read, not get a lock, when he goes to read the left-hand row, he would probably be blocked. However, if he's running under RCSI, he should be able to read that row. Let's go find out what happens. Select star from DBO users where ID equals 621. And I can't determine how I feel about this. Because part of me says that this means that when I set transaction isolation level read committed up at the top, I kind of expected that this guy would be blocked by the session over on the left-hand side. I'm happy that he's not, though, because if a user's mentally challenged enough to put in their isolation level as read committed, I kind of want their session automatically upgraded to RCSI. That appears to be what the behavior is. Richie's row still has a reputation of less than 1 million. Then, Chris, well, but I do like times when I learn something, though. I adore when something pushes me out of my box to learn something that I didn't know, and I had no idea what was going on with this. See, I'm okay with this, though. I actually don't think this is a bug. I kind of like that if RCSI is turned on, that everyone should get RCSI instead of read committed, because read committed doesn't really... did I flip my hourglass? No, I did not. That's a good question, Chris. So in this case, the other thing that's kind of good is it means that the pull request for this is actually true. So is there really a way to see that the thing is using, it's not using read uncommitted, it's using read committed. I said read committed there, not read uncommitted. So that means that this is actually true because transaction isolation level is 2, RCSI is turned on, so then he's saying call it read committed snapshot isolation. So that's kind of cool. I'll take it. That's true. It would be kind of, and some of us have talked about that, asking Microsoft to change the default isolation level across the board to RCSI. But yeah, that's true. Yes, Pierre, I agree wholeheartedly. All right, so I'm down with this. I like that this works the way it does. This all looks like it's good. Okay, I'm going to take it. So that I will say review changes. Come on in there. And Brent says, nice work. Tested on a live stream on August 22nd. I'm kind of fuzzy on how this works, but as far as my testing goes, it looks like it works. I wish I could say it was also code reviewed by the folks who watch the live stream, but let's be honest, they're mostly eating popcorn and watching my code for mistakes. Merged into the dev branch will be in the September release with credit to you in the release notes. So copy all that out, submit review, and merge the pull request. And confirm. We are also trolling. Okay, so there, merge that. I am going to assign lowly DBA, which I think this is his first pull request in the first responder kit, which is kind of awesome. This is, I would call this a bug in SP Blitz Who. And then the milestone will be the September release. Let's go put that same note over in the issue. He's assigned in there. Throw it. Chris, you're probably right. And I totally forgot about that. I should totally do that today. Let's see here. We'll put that in here. Comment. Let's go over to our blog post that describes the change. So here's the compilation blog post that talks about everything in this month's one fix. When a database has RCSI turned on, sys, what the hell is the name of that DMV? So we'll just say some DMVs. Some DMV, don't ask me which one, isn't always reporting that the transaction, that all transactions have are in RCSI. John McCall came up with a slick workaround to report the right isolation levels. This is number 20, what was it? 2534? 2534, thanks John McCall. So let's copy paste in the issue number, paste, and then let's go back over to here and copy in his, I don't think it is his first. No, I think he's done a pull request before. His face rings a bell. John McCall, and paste that in and save that. So now that is in the September release. Yay! So very cool. Nice README too. Very nicely done. That's kind of cool. That's neat how he did that. I like how all that stuff works. Very cool. Okay, so there we go. We did one. Now we still have, I'm going to go glance over at the pull request just to see. Oh, that's right. ADBA did a BlitzWho Delta view. Oh, I'm looking forward to testing that one. But I am not testing any more today. So today what I'm going to do is I will go put in my order for my lox and bagel, and I will go downstairs and go eat said lox and bagel. Before I go, I'll give you all a coupon code. Okay, so what do you want a coupon code for? So go through over on my training page. If there's any classes in there that you want a coupon code for, I'm going to go set up to do it. And then just got to go over the new coupons page. WordPress recently moved their coupons page, and it's under here, overview for coupons. Add a coupon, and who said, well, Saturday SQL Bits is free, so you don't have to worry as much about that. And it was SQL, who said that we were going to get a coupon? So it was, I'm scrolling back up through the list to see who it was. I could have swore it was, did you think, how many open chart? Oh, there it is, CGS. So CGS 878. So coupon code will be a fixed cart discount, I guess. EU no coupons for us. DBA job interview questions. Wow, I haven't done that in forever. So actually, and this will work even for the EU because I'll give it to y'all for free. We'll go 100% off. And this will be for today only, so 100% off, and it is for the interview question. Botsko, yeah, totally. Give me a second to finish the coupon, and then I'll totally give that away for y'all, or I'll answer the question there. DBA job interview, that's that, and so it's 100% off. Now it is usage limits. We'll do the first 50 people. One per person, one, and general. Okay, let's see if I'm going to make sure that it actually works. Open, where is the job interview training class, training, and job interview. And if y'all want, go ahead and add it to your cart. The DBA job interview questions and answers. Sign up now, no thanks, and put in your cart. CGS. Okay, there we go. Oh, it did work. Oh, beautiful. Okay, it worked. All right, so the coupon code for the DBA job interview class. Why not use the random number generator? That's kind of funny, but 50, I'll stop at 50, is CGS 878. All right, so there we go. It is up on the page now. So the first 50 people can go in there and get the DBA job interview class completely for free. Yes, SQL Dev DBA, you're absolutely right. If you have the recorded class season pass, it's already included inside your class. So there you go. So good job, CGS, for reminding me to go give a coupon out there for that one. Very cool. Blatsko says, can I see sessions for free, for example, for old sessions? The SQL Bits sessions, the recordings are free. It takes if I remember right, in the past, it's been 3, 4, 5, 6 months. It's an extended period of time before they get the sessions up for free. I don't know if that'll be different this year or not. Yes, that's true. Y'all should thank CGS too. If you use that coupon code, you should thank CGS for that. But I don't know if it's 3, 6 months somewhere inside there that they'll eventually be available for free. They don't make it easy to find. If you go to SQLBits.com and scroll down to the bottom, there's speakers. There's a link for previous speakers, and then you can go find them via the previous speakers links. I don't know. Yeah. Electrified Phoenix says, is yesterday's stream on Twitch? No, it was only for the live versions. That one is actually at one of the paid days for SQL Bits, so that one was live only. I'm a coupon code. So there you go. Now let's see if I missed anybody else's. And too, that the yesterday session will be available at SQLBits.com, but it's going to be 3-6 months after the conference before it's available publicly. Same thing with Al Gady's question. Just to reach after procrastination. Yeah, unfortunately, that is because that's a private SQL Bits one. That's only for that conference. I let y'all watch live if you happen to be around, but you'll need to pay for SQL Bits if you want to see it live, live quote unquote, while I'm asking questions, and then it takes 3-6 months. Pierre says still no EU coupons. You can use this one for free only because it shouldn't require you a payment in order to check out. So if you're really into it, you could try and work around or whatever. Whereas we have insane defense mechanisms around people trying to use EU credit cards. The EU thing is really screwed right now with the lawsuit that just went in. There's an EU company that just sued 100 companies in the EU for using Google Analytics and Facebook pixels. So yeah, if you're in the EU, it's probably not going to work. Or if you want to be more specific about didn't work, let me know. But so yeah, it is. The EU is now starting to get a little bit more zealous about suing companies who are using anything related to American companies storing any kind of data in America, because the EU knocked down the Privacy Shield law, which essentially means you can't store any EU citizens' data outside of the EU. You have to have very specific written agreements from people, and it's if Google and Facebook can't manage to pull that off, there is no way in hell Brent Ozar Unlimited is going to manage to pull that off. I'll be sitting out here eating cookies, watching how that all goes down. All right, so I am going to go downstairs and go get myself a lox and bagel. Thank you, Emmanuel. I appreciate it. That's very cool as well. Have a fun weekend, y'all. Have fun with the DBA job interview class. Hopefully you get a better job that actually pays for my classes instead of you having to watch the streams. But I was going to say watching the streams is so much fun. I really enjoy it. And this is the same kind of thing that we do in the live classes, just they're long and whatnot. My pleasure. Thanks, y'all, for hanging out today, and I will see y'all later. I do have a stream tomorrow. We'll be streaming same time tomorrow, and I'll probably just dig deeper into the first responder kit and do more stuff inside there. So thanks, y'all, and I will see y'all next time. Adios.